Think of a world where every soul resonates with empathy, where every voice speaks not just for oneself, but for those silenced by hardship. That's the heart of the humanitarian voice, a voice that crosses borders and barriers, reaching out to the marginalized, to the oppressed, and the overlooked. It's a voice that speaks in a universal language, one that knows no bounds of nationality, race, or religion. It's the voice of those who work tirelessly to alleviate suffering, to fight for justice, and to foster understanding in a world too often divided by conflict. Hey everyone, welcome. This is Humanitarian Voice Podcast, where we explore stories of humanitarian work and advocacy worldwide. I am your host, Cindy, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. Today, I am very excited. Joining us for this episode is a dear friend and colleague, Shruti Chopra. Shruti is not just a talented news anchor at one of India's TV news station. She is also a compassionate humanitarian through her contribution within the UN volunteer. Shruti and I work together as a UN volunteer within the same fundraising program. Welcome, Shruti.
Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction and for having me.
You're very much welcome, Shruti. So, Shruti, I always ask this question as a kick-off to all of my guests in this podcast series because I'm always curious about their interests or the reason behind uh, their involvement in this humanitarian work. So, please tell me what is yours?
I always found that doing something for either for people, preserving cultures, doing something for nature, for animals, for the environment, it's always been fruitful for me because it makes me feel like I'm doing something positive, and it's a direct, it gives me direct happiness more than I think earning money. That's something different, but this is something even better, I feel, in some ways. And it does also, at the end of the day, it adds to your resume, which is a bonus.
Thank you, Shruti. But if I may, I would like to ask a little bit about your personal life. Maybe because I've met some people who invested a lot in humanitarian efforts, actually based on their personal stories. For example, is there anything from your personal background or your life story that drives you to be part of these humanitarian works?
Um, I think I'm an empathetic person by nature, so that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And moving around a lot in my childhood has helped me understand different cultures and to be more adaptable. So I enjoy talking to people, and I really appreciate different cultures. And a lot of the work that we do with the UN is
Mm-hmm.
for the world. So it really does come from my heart.
That's beautiful, Shruti. Could you please tell us more about your experiences? For example, have there been times when you taken the lead in organizing events or initiatives to join a cause or to participate in efforts about why contributing to a better world or advancing humanity matters?
My work with the UN has really helped me to work on projects like that. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the projects that I've worked with has been delivering climate change news with Universal Versatile Society, which is an organization credited with UNDP.
Yeah.
So that was basically, I ran a segment where we would ask people their perspective on the latest climate change headlines,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped us to on the spot raise awareness by sharing the news, and for the people to give potential solutions or reflect on how drastic the situation actually is, and we don't actually take out time to talk about it because it's usually not breaking news until
Yeah.
it's really bad.
Thank you, Shruti. It's interesting that you brought up about this climate change awareness because it actually got me thinking, should we incorporate this climate change topic into our formal education? I've heard some discussion about it already, but what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I think it's very necessary because it would be something that would have to go through the education system. I remember this was one of the news that I'd covered a while back. So there was some place, I can't recall exactly where, but they did start a program like this somewhere in the world. But
Mhm.
it takes time, and it would take time for the whole world to adapt to that. So I think a good place to start would be for in science classes, there should be a good chunk of it should cover climate change.
That's absolutely a great point, Shruti. I do think that teaching about climate change in schools is indeed very important right now. It does not only help the young learners understand the issue, but also what they can do about it, because somehow they are going to be our future generation. And the lesson perhaps can be delivered in a simplified version or in a fun, interactive way so that it's still digestible for these young learners, right? All right, Shruti, as we near to the end of our podcast episode, could you share some words or insights on how to encourage people out there? Why they should consider volunteering or initiating something?
There's something that we're all passionate about or that we all care about
Mm-hmm.
more than anything else. So for me, it might be nature, environment, or animals, things like that, learning about cultures. So whatever it is for you, the audience should find what they like
Mm-hmm.
and they should work toward that, because until it's not something that you truly enjoy, I think it really does help if you really do care about the cause that you're working towards, and then go online, find what you can do for it. There's always opportunities, and if not, you can start something on your own, which also opens doors for other people.
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually a very powerful point, Shruti, because I know that there are some people struggling to figure out how they can genuinely help. They want to contribute to humanitarian cause or sustainability, but aren't very sure how or in what way. So I believe that, as you said, the first question should be they ask to themselves what they're truly passionate about. Even an artist, a filmmaker, or videographer can still make a humanitarian impact without, let's say, having to travel to global south like Uganda or conflict areas in Ukraine or Palestine. They can still make a powerful impact by delivering their advocacy message through their art, their music, or a podcast like what we are doing right now, or other talents, right? So, Shruti, last but not least, what are your final words for today's episode?
I would say don't be afraid to start anything that you're passionate about. If you enjoy a sport, maybe try to open opportunities for people around the world to start joining it. Things like that. It goes a long way.
Yeah,
We don't realize when we start. So don't be afraid to start. That's what I would say. And thank you so much, Cindy, for having me on your podcast.
you're very much welcome, Shruti. Thank you too once again for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. And that concludes our episode today. Stay tuned for more stories of compassion and advocacy in the episodes to come. Until next time, remember, kindness is contagious, so let's keep spreading it far and wherever you go.